Hey everyone, thank you for joining me on Steph Shares. And this is Stephen. My name's Stephen K. Prod. And what we'll look at this week is, does God override man's will to make choices? So actually, God does not override our will to make choices. We see even in the scripture that we read last time in Deuteronomy 30, that God was telling the Israelites through Moses that I have presented to you life and death. And therefore he says, choose life. That means that God has given us the ability and the capability to be able to make choices. All right, so in whatever choices we make, have a repercussion or have a consequences, whether good or bad. There's an example in the Bible, in the book of Genesis chapter 39. A man named Joseph who was sold to Potiphar. And what we see there is that Potiphar, because of how that Joseph walked with God, everything that he did was successful. He was thriving in everything he did. So he was put to be in charge in everything except Potiphar's wife. But we see later that Potiphar's wife decides to seduce him into making him sleep with her. But then he decided to not sleep with her. All right? So the times throughout the Bible where we can point to of where God does not override man's will to make choices. And the same is true as well. In Genesis, we spoke about that. For God to tell Adam and Eve not to eat of the fruit of the tree of good and evil, it meant that God has given us the capacity and the capability to be able to make right choices. So remember today that God does not override your will to make choices, but then we can seek Him to give us wisdom to make those right choices. Thank you. Stay blessed.